So, this is a kind of predictions video. I wanted to record this so that if I was right, hopefully I could look back and say I was right to a degree, and hopefully, maybe as well, just because I'm obviously an EU fan as well, I might be wrong as well. But, it is what it is. Pro League finals, I am hyped as hell because I'm casting it as well in Leicester in the UK, my home country, boys and girls, home country. So I'm very proud to be doing it in the first place. But obviously we've got Team PZ in the Abjured from NA coming all the way over from America, of course, to Europe. And then we've got Rank 55 Dragons, and then we've got Vermillion. Really, there's no video footage of them playing. There's not me made a load of effort on the video. It's literally just me saying what I think and how it's really going to affect these teams. Because, there's a lot of things that affect teams when they go and play in, say, a big LAN tournament, right? You've got, big stage, there's big screens. This arena, this studio at ESL is possibly the biggest studio that ESL have in the world, and is literally being built in the past couple of months and weeks, so it's finished. It's going to look awesome. It's going to be massive. It's got a great, from what I've actually been in it while it's been constructed as well, and it's going to look so awesome. And that kind of arena or that kind of setting can play a lot of games with you, and I've seen teams, especially like in Guild Wars 2 tournaments as well, and like World Tournament Series. Remember, I've been to a lot of these events now, and I've witnessed people crumble. It doesn't matter how good they are at the game. They can be the best players in the world. They could be the most knowledgeable players in the world. But if they haven't got it together, if they haven't got the confidence to sit there in front of a crowd, or maybe, especially in a pressured situation, I don't care who you are. I don't care how experienced, some people are in their knowledge of tournaments and whatnot, and also other people in other games. But in Guild Wars 2 especially, when people aren't playing that often in front of people, then that kind of pressure can really make you crumble. And I've seen it happen. Saw it at WTS every time. Seen teams crumble to that pressure. Overconfidence as well is a big thing. If you're way too overconfident and you underestimate your team, underestimate your enemy, that can be a big downfall as well. That we saw that from the Abjured, of course, when we were in Boston. I don't actually believe, maybe, I feel like that was their main downfall. They were too overconfident. Like, Orange Logo just came from the depths of hell and kicked some ass that day. We'll never forget that wipe on Forest, and we'll never forget the comebacks that they had. Some of the best moments in Guild Wars 2 history, in my opinion. Also, some of the best moments as well was in Cologne WTS, where the Abjured just wiped the floor with everyone. Because, in the middle point of the day, I said this during the cast. I said, Kalaris, I think this is Abjured's. I think this is Abjured's day. And, I was rooting for EU as well, but I'm a caster. I'm still impartial to everyone. I don't favourite people when I'm casting. But, it just felt like the Abjured were in a different place. They're in a different state of mind. And they really carried themselves through that tournament extremely well. They were really, their morale was good. They were hyping each other up. They were excited, which is how Orange Logo were in Boston as well. It was very reminiscent, actually. China, I wasn't in China. I did cast it in the end because obviously the feed went down. But I'm not sure how the environment was there. I feel like, it's fairly even because, the guys didn't have as much experience. It had All-Stars, of course, in Cologne during Gamescom before that. But other than that, they didn't have much, LAN experience. So now we've got Team PZ as well. Two of the guys, at the very least, have played in front of people. We've got K-Pod and we've got Zeus as well. And I'm excited to see these guys again, I've seen Zeus a few times since then, but, they've got some nice LAN experience. They've got some experience they can give the team as well that they've learnt previously from, the All-Stars tournament. Okay, it wasn't a massive stage. It wasn't, crazy pressure, but still they had people behind them, they were playing in a live setting. it was pretty cool for them to do, because I think that experience is going to be vital on this occasion. It's a bit different, obviously, because they're playing for a massive amount of money this time rather than what they were before, which wasn't any, really. So yeah, there is that difference. So obviously, you know, thinking about that pressure, but obviously they've got nothing to lose, really. They're going to be able to get the minimum amount of prize money, and this is going to give them a massive amount of experience for the future, which I think, you know, this is what this Pro League final is also about. It's not just about the winners. Obviously, it's about the winners winning the money, and that's the most important thing to the teams. But other than that, it's also about those teams gaining that LAN experience, so that in the next season, when if they get to the finals, they've got that, you know, that experience which levels them up to, say, the Abjured, Orange Logo, or, you know, some other people, you know, like Helsef and stuff, that have played in that LAN arena. This is why this final is so good and so important, because it has opened up our scene in Guild Wars 2 to a lot more teams. And you got Blackjack on, like, you know, Car Crash as well, who has that same kind of experience, which is invaluable experience to have and pass on to, like, fellow teammates. So Team PZ, I think we'll have to be wary of these guys, because I think they've got something up their sleeve, something different that might come up in this tournament that we might not have been expecting. So, you know, one of those things that we were talking about before, or I was talking about, was the fact, you know, looking for that underdog as well, which is what they are in this tournament, as well as Vermillion. You've got kind of those two teams. Well, I guess everyone feels like an underdog compared to the Abjured. But they're going to be one to watch for sure. And obviously, you know, we then got Vermillion, who are kind of, you know, the other second seed, but obviously in Europe. And we saw those guys, a completely unexpected performance this season to come second. No one really expected that at the beginning of the season. If they did, it was more of a lucky guess, I suppose, because, you know, we didn't really know as much about them as we had before. Obviously, we knew they'd played in, you know, Go4s, ESL Weeklies. They trained with Orange Logo for the last WCS that was in Cologne as well. They actually trained versus those guys. And, you know, Rom's got a lot of love for those guys, and a lot of people do. And they've got a good knowledge for the game. They seem to get the meta straight away. They've got good game knowledge. They really challenge their opponents, and they play some nice mind games as well. You know, I remember like maps like Legacy of Fofire. So you know, they would push over towards their enemy's camp, and they would just, you know, kind of hover in towards that area and push Lord when they started to get a bit of a lead on their opponents, to make sure they couldn't push back, to actually get momentum back into the map and push, and their enemies push towards their own Lord, to possibly get the win. You know, these kind of mind games, which might not sound that, you know, complicated, but when you're playing in an intense situation, you know, those kind of plays are kind of important. And, you know, putting people in different roles that might not be so popular in the meta, but, you know, something different, something new, you know, people who are able to multi-class specifically quite well, you know, Alcor and RG and Curve, you know, those guys being able to multi-class pretty bloody well. Triffin coming from Thief, going over to Revenant, you know, for last season, and now as well. And, you know, Snowball as well. He's very, you know, very supportive. He thinks about his team and the support that he can offer his team as well. So, you know, they've got good people in good roles. So I feel like, you know, we're going to see a lot from them. Abjured, I don't really know what to say about the Abjured, because, you know, they're an unstoppable force most of the time. You can't really, you can count the amount of losses they've had on two hands for probably in the last like 7 or 8 months. You know, I mean, maybe even further back than that now, because we're hitting almost a year ago since Boston as well. So, you know, they have strength in, you know, the power of friendship, as everyone keeps saying, but, you know, they have this strength in their team of consistency, and they all get on so well. You know, that you see them hosting each other on Twitch. You see, you know, the camaraderie of just how synced they are together in their knowledge of the game and grasping the meta and having a consistent group. No matter what everyone else is running, they will be able to be successful in their own team, in their own, synchronicity, I suppose, of that team as well, and how important it is that they get on together, because consistency is extremely important in esports and in online gaming, of course, and competitive scenes. And it's great to see a team stay like that together. I think that's a really, really good thing for those guys, and they are my pick for the winners of the Pro League for this season. Now, maybe that could be changed up in the semi-final between Vermillion and the Abjured, because if the Abjured underestimate their opponents of Vermillion, things could completely go tits up, we'll say. Which is, an English saying. And that could be a massive issue for the team. Because I think, the problem they had with Orange Logo before was underestimating their opponent. And, maybe I think they've learnt their lesson from the overconfidence that maybe we saw them have in Boston. So, I think Vermillion have got a tough job, but I think if there's a team that can do it, it's probably them, and maybe even Rank 55 Dragons. If we see them defeat Team PZ, they could give the Abjured a run for their money. Problem is that they would have been watched already by the Abjured, and they can adapt quite well, as we saw them in Cologne. They went down to the losers bracket, they came back up to the top, and they won the bloody thing, So they sat back, they, collected themselves calmly, and they focused on what they had to do, and they won the tournament. And I think, this time, we can't do that. We got best of fives all round. There's no double elim, it's all single elimination. So it's best of 5 for semis, best of 5 for final. So there is no second chance, which is, kind of brutal in a way, actually. And if you lose, you're out, and that's it. It's quite a fast tournament this time round. It's going to be bloody exciting in that way, because it's going to be all action all the time. Meta changes as well, that's a massive thing in how, that's going to affect the teams. Who is able to adapt the fastest, basically, the best? Who is the best team to be able to, have so many new builds, new amulets, new abilities, different traits changing in different lines, engineer changes, necro strength now as well, which is obviously going to be played by teams. It'd be silly not to, unless they have got that synchronicity that I'm talking about with the Abjured. Nos is going to play a necro, obviously. This is his time to shine, if anything else, and he's going to need to be locked down by teams unless they want to get wrecked. But otherwise, I think, I think Rank 55 have got a chance if they get to the if they get through PZ. But I think, there's an amount of, I think Team PZ might actually have, a chance as well, because I think, again, they can't be underestimated. They did better than a lot of people thought they would do in the NA scene. Obviously, NA scene isn't close as EU in terms of competitiveness, but they've actually shown, that there's a possibility that could change. And I think, if they get underestimated by Rank 55, they could possibly upset them as well. So I actually feel like, even though it might be an obvious prediction to say that the Abjured are going to win with Rank 55 in second, there is mass possibility for upsets, which is why this could be potentially one of the most exciting Pro League, or one of the most exciting competitive streams for Guild Wars 2 PvP in our history. It is the largest prize pool in terms of our history, with 50k for first. That was shared across 4 teams before for a World Tournament Series. And now a team will win 50k. That's massive in itself, So I'm excited. Make sure you check out stream on twitch.tv/Guild Wars 2 on Saturday the 20th of February, 4 p.m. GMT. Make sure you get there early, because, you never know what's going to happen. Should be a very exciting day. There's going to be myself and Joe Munchables from ESL, of course, casting with Caloris, and also Storm, and also Hurix on the analyst desk. I've been Jebro. Don't forget to watch it, because otherwise I'll know and I'll find you. See you soon. Thank you very much. Take care. Watch Pro League on Saturday.